Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Gunn, and I am the coordinator of Digital Scholarship at Catholic University of America Libraries. This workshop is being recorded and will be made available at a later date along with the slides. Today, we're going to be looking at how to clean your data set using the open source software OpenRefine. We will be looking at a number of data sets and how we can go about resolving some common problems. So what we'll do today is we'll have a quick overview of what clean data is and why we want to clean it. We'll talk about some common problems and, of course, the solutions for cleaning the data. And then I'll do a quick demonstration of GREL, the particular language that's used in OpenRefine, and how to reconcile data. So what is data cleaning? So data cleaning is the process of fixing or removing incorrect, corrupted, incorrectly formatted, duplicate, incomplete data within a data set. Reasons for cleaning the data. You have improves accuracy, so you can remove errors and inconsistencies that enhances the reliability of the analysis results, enhances data quality. So cleaning data ensures high quality, usable data sets for analysis. It reduces noise, eliminating irrelevant or extraneous data focuses the analysis on meaningful information. So it also increases efficiency. So clean data reduces processing time and computational resources needed for analysis. Another reason is facilitates decision-making. Accurate and clean data leads to better informed business or research decisions. It can improve data integration. So standardizing data formats simplifies the integration of different data sources. Cleaning data also supports compliance. So it ensures adherence to data governance and regulatory standards. It also enhances data interpretation. So clean data is easier to interpret, leading to clearer insights and conclusions. It also boosts confidence in results. So stakeholders can trust the analysis outcomes when based on clean data. And last, it prevents misleading conclusions. So cleaning data minimizes the risk of drawing incorrect conclusions from flawed or biased data. So data tidying. So what you're doing, you have a structured data set to facilitate analysis. So what is that? It's a collection of values. And so every value belongs to a variable and an observation. And this is an article by Hadley Wickham called Tidy Data, came out in 2014, and I highly recommend reading that. So tidy data, each variable forms a column, each observation forms a row. Each type of observational unit forms a table. So that is what you're looking for. What we're looking for is highly structured data as an end result. So how do we do that? Well, one tool that you can use is OpenRefine. So OpenRefine is a powerful tool for working with messy data, cleaning it, transforming it from one format into another, and extending it with web services and external data. It is a robust tool that has many features, some of which we'll explore today. So to really expand your skills, you will need to spend time with the software. OpenRefine has the characteristics of a spreadsheet, but it is not a spreadsheet. It works more like a relational database. The key strength here is transparency. Every change is recorded step by step, is reproducible, and is reversible. So you can inspect each transformation, share scripts, and apply the same clean recipe to another data set if you so wish. So there's a survey published last December from users of OpenRefine, and basically it says it asks, what type of tasks do users perform? So you're looking at the once per day and once per week sections. Most commonly preferred tasks include using OpenRefine in general, data exploration, simple data cleaning with graph functions, and reconciling data with external data sources. So that's basically what we're going to be focusing on today. I should mention reconciliation. I've mentioned a couple times. So what is that? That's the process of matching your data set with that of an external source. So this process often involves other other tasks such as entity resolution, data field matching, and duplicate record detection. So data sets for comparison can be produced by libraries, archives, museums, academic organizations, scientific institutions, nonprofits, or interest groups. So you can also reconcile against user-edited data on Wikidata or other Wiki-based instances, and I'll be giving a demonstration of that. So the five main features of OpenRefine is that you can do faceted cleaning, filtering, you can cluster similar objects together, you can transform those objects, and then, like I said, you can reconcile them and build on your data set that you have. All right, so that's a very quick overview. What we're going to do now is we'll show you how to download OpenRefine, and then we'll have a handout with sample data sets that we're going to use. We're going to be looking at 4 data sets today just to give you some variety. I'm putting the link to the data sets and the handout in the chat. And now I'm going to click on OpenRefine download page, and here we are. Wonderful. So this is the page, OpenRefine. We're using 3.9.5, and you can have, it works with Windows and Mac and Linux are the big ones. They have a list of full releases on GitHub. And also one of the nice features about OpenRefine is that they have many extensions that you can use for specific tasks. I'm going to click on this right now, the extensions, just to take a look. They have a number of different things that you can use within OpenRefine. If you're working with JavaScript, for example, you can use Refine JS, and it'll tell you the additions, that sort of thing. Geo extensions, if you really want to get into that sort of thing, Geo JSON export and all that. So you can really combine a lot of these things and use them to bring even more information into your data set. All right, so I just want to do a quick show of that. Click on the back button. So if you download and install it, this is going to be a Java environment. So that will be, you'll have to set it up. It's usually plug and play, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. So I've downloaded it, I've installed it, and now I'm going to run it. You'll notice, I don't know if you can see it from there, at the bottom is my little OpenRefine button. So I'm going to click on that. And if everything is running smoothly, what will happen is a black box will come up on your screen and it will run through the Java environment as it installs. And if everything works out, slowly, but it gets there, you will have a page like this. A web browser will open. It will have this URL in here, 127.0.0.0.1, and then the open portal here. It'll say create project. So if this is running, then great. You are ready to rock and roll. Now, before we do that, I want to share something with you. And that is this. So when you first launch OpenRefine, you click on the icon, this will open up and it will run. So that's great. You want to run, and if it runs successfully, then you'll get the browser will open up, and that's great. You want that to happen. The most important thing is do not close this black box. If you close this black box, your browser will not work anymore. So you'll have to close your browser and then start all over again. So very important caveat there. All right. Here. There we go. Okay. So here is our platform from OpenRefine. You'll notice down here 3.9.5 here, and you can always check about to see if that you're using the latest installation, but we know we are, so that's good. You can create a project by importing data. So what kind of files can you import? You can do all these tab separated, comma separated, Excel, all these different ones. So it does support a lot of different data types, even Google data in there. If you go to, if you look at the different ways you can upload your data, most common ones, choose files. We'll get to that in a second. You can do web address, clipboard if you're into that, or you can do database connections, online databases you can connect once you fill all this out. So what we're going to do today is just this computer one. We're just going to choose some files here, and then we're going to move forward. So I'm now going to be working through the handout here. So we're going to be looking at 4 different data sets. So we'll just upload them and go with that. So you can look at this, you can parse data as a CSV, and that's what we're going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on choose file, choose files, and that's going to open up, where I've stored my data sets for today. So in this case, we'll look at the authors people CSV, comma separated values. So I'm going to open that. And you'll notice right here, you can have it'll have it listed here. So it's good. And I'll click on next. And here we are, off to the races. So here we have a loading of the data. So now let's say I've never seen this before in my life. You can take a look and see what exactly is your data. But before you do that, I highly recommend that you take a look at some of these features down here. Now, OpenRefine has read your quick data very quickly, and it said, okay, what are we doing here? Oh, we're doing comma separated values down here, and it goes through. We're going to use character that to enclose cells, and it goes through and tells you a whole bunch of different things. We're going to leave these as defaults because we don't want to really change anything. You want to store blank rows, store blank columns, that sort of thing. You say, okay, you can do that. Also, with regards to character encoding, this is often quite important if you're using data. So if you click on Windows 1252, that's sort of like the legacy option, if you will, with regards to Windows. So that's the basic form that the character encoding is taking place. However, you can use a number of these, for example, UTF-8 or UTF-16, you've got ASCII, these sorts of things. So if you know that your data is sort of particular to those kinds of encodings, then you probably should use those. If you want to look at the larger picture, you can look at all encoding, and this gives you everything that's listed out there. So for whatever reason. So there you go. I'm going to just cancel that. We're just going to stick with Windows 1252. It's pretty safe. You'll notice parse data as this case as CSV, separated base files, but you have all these different options here. So JSON files, MARC files, JSON LD, RDFs, all that sort of thing. So you can do a lot of data manipulation. We're bringing in all these different types of data sets, Excel files too. I should mention just in passing, I'm using comma separated values today, and that will present the data set in a particular way. You can upload Excel files, the same data in an Excel file. It will look slightly different, but just be aware that is a different format that's being used. So there's always the issues of how basic can your code go. So If you're using TXT, for example, that's basic text. Can't really go wrong there. If you upload a Word file, and speaking in general terms, the Word, Microsoft Word brings a lot of coding and stuff with it. So you want to use, have your data set as the most basic level of data format that it can be. So just a quick bit of advice. All right, so I look at this data set here, and I'm looking and I'm exploring the data right now. I don't know how much do I have to clean on this is the big question. And I'm looking and I'm saying, oh, well, the first author person is a number. Well, that's not going to work for me. It's going to have to be something different. If I go down the author persons, I see a particular name, Jason Aaron, and that's great. But notice down here, number field 8 here, I've got a period. So the others didn't have periods. These have periods. Oh, some more down here, some don't. All of a sudden I realize, oh, one name here. So all of a sudden I've got a whole bunch of different problems. So it's important, start delineating the problems, write those problems down, like get rid of period in author persons, that sort of thing, as you go through and clean this data. If we look at at titles, we can see the titles list here again, periods, that sort of thing. Going here, do we have any? We do have duplication here, New York, Dogs in Edinburgh, New York, and then here's London, DC Comics and that. Same book, it looks like, same ISBN, right? So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna have to start making decisions here. Do I just treat this as one title and go from there? So do I delete that one? And these are sorts of questions that you have to ask. Look at the place of publication. There's null fields, and there are a lot of different ways that the information has been inputted. So here you have this place here, Turnbridge Wells, and you have London here with the brackets and the question mark, and then London just by itself. And you can see a lot of variety of data that's been inputted, but basically refers to the same thing, London. So you're going to have to make decisions like that. And you see the publishers, you have the same thing as well. We'll get into that. Data publications, you have the copyright, you have brackets, you have all that sort of thing. So you're going to have to run, first get rid of the C's here, the copyrights, then the brackets, then periods, and that sort of thing. So you're doing multiple steps through here. This is good because you get to keep track of what you're working on and what you've done, what you've accomplished in that so far. All right, and then of course, ISBNs, what's this? We have 2 bits of data in a column, one single column. That's a big no-no. That's a big no-no. So you're gonna have to single it out and put just one ISBN throughout here. And then look at this one, just nasty stuff right there. So anyway, we realize, okay, we've got a lot of work to do here, so we are going to get busy with that. And we'll have the project name right here, authors, people. So I'm just going to keep it like that, underscore it, and I'm just going to take out the CSV. There we go. And now I'm going to create the project. You'll notice before I do anything is that I'm clicking on the data set and I can't do anything with it. So it's just presenting to me what the data is about. So I'm going to create my project now. And depending on how large the data set is, it will take some time to load. So here we have 17,000 rows listed here, which is a good way to go. We notice a little spots here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on 100 here. So 100 rows, and there I've got a better sense of what I'm looking at here. All right, so now the most important thing to notice is that something has changed. We go up here to authors persons. I can click on those little triangles, those diamonds, if you will, and all of a sudden I have pull down menus for each of these columns. And this introduces you to a whole bunch of things that we can do with that. So there you go. You're ready to go. So I'm going to follow through on the handout here. And what we're going to do is, first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the publisher column. And go right over here. We're going to click on that. And then we're going to go to select facet. First thing we're going to do is look at faceted data and see what we can do with that. And then we're going to select text data here. So publisher, under publisher, facet, and then text data. And what does this do? It brings us up information on the publisher. Everything here. So we have 1,660 choices listed here under publisher. So that immediately gives us some information about this, that we have quite an extensive data set. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to scroll down to Titan. And here we are. So here's Titan. And we know a number of things. First of all, we have 3,627 records just for Titan listed here. We can edit all of these at once. We'll do that in a minute, and we can include them in our final data set. But we notice that we have a lot of different Titans here. Titan as a distributor, Titan books, that sort of thing. So one has to be familiar with one's data. Are these all referring to Titan books? And that's it. So you're going to have to make some educated guesses, if you will. If you already know it, then you can begin reconciling a lot of this data. All right, so let's see. So if we look at the right of Titan book, go back here. We'll notice right here, Titan book, and we have edit. So if I were to click on Titan book, so tell me what those two records are about. It can tell me what this is. It gives me the records listed here and all the information that's pertinent to those two records. So if I say, oh, that's very interesting. Let me go back to the full list. I click on that and it deselects it. So let's say I know I want to have them as books. So I can go like this. I can do edit. This will bring up this little box. And I can do a little quick edit here. So I'm going to do edit with books. And I'm going to apply it. So all of a sudden, Titan book by itself has disappeared and has been added to Titan books. Isn't that very interesting? So how is this useful? You can go through it and you can start collecting a lot of these records together. There are other methods like clustering, which we'll get into in a minute, but here's a very basic way you can look at these. Now, let's say for the sake of argument, maybe you made a mistake there and you're like, oh, gee, I don't really want to do that. You can go up here to undo and redo. If you click on that, this will list down here all the changes that I make. So in this case, I've just made one change. So let's say, I don't want to do that. So I can click on that, create project. And look, I go back to facet filter. And now my Titan book is back to where it was originally. So here's the most important thing. I am doing a whole bunch of changes and stuff like that, right? But I haven't saved anything. So I haven't saved it. I haven't exported it. So even if I screw up, well, that's fine. I can always do undo. Now, if I want to say, you know what, I want these changes made. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to click on that. Right. So now Titan books is all together. And I want to stop for the day. If I want to export, I can go over here to the right-hand side. And I can archive this to a file. And if I did that, I can believe it would save as a zip file and be done with it. So you can save all these different ways that you wanted, comma separated value. Right, there you go. There's separated there. I did a zip file a little bit earlier, but that's how you can save these particular ways you can export things. I will also show you how to do custom tabular data, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So that's a very quick way. So if I save that, great, I've saved my changes. Then next time I can upload that data set and continue making my changes. So nice feature to have. Let me show you something else here. Things that sort of come to your attention as you're working through the data. So if you looked at this, you'll notice Titan Books 371 and Titan Books, well, that's the same thing. So why are they separated out? Right? Obviously, the software is telling me something. So let me take a look at this. I'm going to click on Edit, and here it is, Titan Books. Nice and neat, right? Okay, good. Now let me click on the next one. Now notice something very particular. Maybe you noticed it. There's a space after books. So we don't want that. So we're going to delete that space. There I did. I'm going to apply it, and boom, Titan Books are all together now. So that is a very quick thing. You'll also notice up here, you have mass edit of 3 cells and column publisher. Little yellow box. Every time you make a change, there'll be a yellow box up top here. And if you go, oh no, I did something wrong, as long as it stays up there, you can click undo, and that will undo it very quickly. So that is a very quick way to use faceted data. Next, we're going to look at filter data. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to publisher. In fact, I'm going to clean all this out. There we go. Notice I still have undo and all that listed there. I'm going to go to publisher. I'm going to go back down. We're going to look, filter some data. We're going to look publisher, then we're going to do text filter. And here, little box on the left-hand side pops up. I'm going to type in Titan. And I get 4,684 hits. Okay, great. So if I go over here and I type in Titan with a capital, whoops, capital T, I get the same number, 4,684. So that tells me smaller case, lowercase or uppercase is still the same. So if there was a discrepancy, it would show up. If I wanted to look at case sensitive, I can do that, 4,684, and also like that. It tells me that there's no records here with small letter T for Titan. So it's another way to bring your data together. You'll be able to examine the data specifically to see if there's any discrepancies. All right. So that is a quick way to filter data. If you go to, clear that out. All right, so we're back to that. Next, we want to do some clustering of data. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to go back to publisher here. We're going to click on that. We're going to go to edit cells. And we're going to cluster and edit. So we'll go right down here and we'll click on that. And now things get really interesting. So what do we have here? So what clustering does is it identifies, the software will identify words that come together and says, hey, you know what? They look like they belong together. Let me cluster them into various groups. Now, quickly, how do you know how they're doing this? Well, they have a number of algorithms here. So you have a method algorithm called key collision. You could use nearest neighbor, but we're going to use key collision. The keying function, you have a number of different algorithms here. So how familiar are you with these algorithms? You're not too sure, you can always go to find out more. And here's a list. And now this is the deep end of the pool. This will tell you what clustering is, but also the different methods that are being used and why. So they have two defaults, and we will go with the defaults. So you can look through here and you can use these and determine which way, what you want to use moving forward. So I thought I would show that to you, that things can get kind of complicated. All right, so here we are. All right, so click cluster to find cluster on columns publisher using the parameters above. All right, so let's click on that, see what we get. Okay. So here we have immediate listing of Titan. And then you see a lot of other things listed here. So you can scroll through all of these and see how they all come together. You'll notice they'll show you on the side here, the bars show you where things can be clustered and that. For this purposes of our instruction here, you can start to go through here and take a look at Titan. And you can go back and you can do a search just specifically with Titan and restrict it that way. But for this purpose, I want to show you the bigger picture here. That sometimes it may be worthwhile to scroll through everything. So what can you do here? You can start selecting. So if you see this, like 3,600, right? So you've got the majority of them here. Then you can start selecting these and bringing them together in this way. So this is a very quick way to grab so much of this. And you just scroll through it and that will be that. You can also name these. So you can do a merge selected and then recluster. So I did that. And where did Titan go? I see I've lost him. All right. So if that happens, you can close down. And you can stop with that. So if we do Titan, pardon me, getting a little lost here. Let me do this again. Edit cells, and then go down to cluster and edit. There we go. And there's our thing again that we can start doing. So we can also, not only can we cluster on this, but we can also put in a new heading. So Titan, let's say Titans forever. So we did that and we did that. All right, so applying this change will overwrite the following history, which we did before. Okay. There we go. So basically, once it's cluster stuff and you've merged that, it will disappear from this. So you can spend your time in here and start bringing everything together. So DC Comics is DC Comics listed here, down here. I don't know, DC Thompson is the same thing, you know what I mean? So you'd go through and you'd start collecting all these particular files together. So we will not do that. and I'll close that. So that's one way you can clean a lot of data very, very quickly, given that particular column, in this case, publisher. All right. The next one that we're going to look at is transforming data. So we're going to go to, first of all, I'm going back to the original here. There we go. And I'm going to transform data. So we're going to do, you can transform data in two basic ways. One is the preset transformations that are part of the pull down menus that they have, or you can use the OpenRefine expression language known as GREL. So I'm going to demonstrate both of these very quickly. So we go to Publisher yet again, and we go to Edit Cells. Then we're going to do Common Transformations. You know, why not use what the system has built in? And you have all these different ways that you can do some common transformation. One of them is like trim leading and trailing white space, for example. So we saw that with regards to Titan books and that spacing after. So you can do all these different things, you know, change the title case, uppercase, lowercase to numbers, that sort of thing. So you do have a lot of different ways that you can do stuff very, very quickly. So I'm going to do trim leading and trailing space, and let's see what happens. Okay, apply anyway. And up here we have text transform on 501 cells, and it's telling you, it's giving you the GREL right here, value.trim, and it's undo. So we're going to leave that as is, but you got a little very immediate sense of a GREL function listed there. So Kevin, how do I get more GREL functions? Well, let me show you. So we're going to go to author persons. I'm going to go over here, do a little bit of change. And we're going to look at edit cells right here. And I'm going to do transform, simply transform. And all of a sudden here pops up major change. Here's the GREL, the general refined expression language. You also have Python and Clojure here if you wanted to use those particular languages, but we're not going to. We're going to do this. All right, so what we see here was a bit of a preview, and it's listing, giving us the first few rows of our data. And it's like, you know what, we want to do something specific here. We're looking at the names, and we're notice, as we mentioned before, that we have the period after the last name. We sort of want to get rid of that. We don't like that. So we want to get rid of that. How do we do that very quickly? So we can go to value here, and I'm going to do replace, the replace function. So that's great. And what I'm going to do is I have to do open parentheses, and I'm going to do a single quotation mark, a period, and a close quotation mark, single, and then do comma, and then I'm going to do an open and closed open and close parentheses marks. So you know, not parentheses, apostrophes. So you get a sense of that. So the syntax is apostrophe, period, apostrophe, comma, apostrophe, apostrophe. You'll notice it's still giving me a parsing error. So you're missing something. Yes, I'm missing a closed parentheses. And once I do that, it tells me no syntax error. So here's my expression. It appears to be good. Now look what happens. It gives me a preview. So if I scroll down, right, and on the right-hand side, I'm looking at columns 8 and 9 and 10. And yeah, it works. The period has disappeared. So I can click on that. And it'll tell you, hey, you've got 10,000 cells in column author person where you got rid of the period. That's a lot of coverage and very short command. So you can appreciate, the more you know about GREL, the more you can do things quickly. In my handout and in the folder I put in the chat box, have a list of the more common GREL expressions that you can use to really clean your data quickly. So that is merely a demonstration of one function. If you know that function, you can do a lot more with the basic GREL functions. It does get sophisticated to a point, but we're just doing a demo today. All right. Yeah, let's see if I go back to edit 3 here, I'm going to use that. All right, so clicked on mass edit 3 cells. I can go back to this. You're not really noticing any changes, but they are there. Now, let me say to you this. We've reached that point where we do have to export. So I'm going to export in a different way. We're going to go up here, and instead of doing OpenRefine project archive, which gives us a file, or the common separated value, I'm going to go to custom tabular. And this gives me this page right here. And I love this page because it gives you the content, each of the column names. It also tells you what you can do with these particular entity names or linking matching, all these sorts of things. What I like about the content listed here is that you could have columns here that you're not interested in using. They're just dead weight, so to speak. So if I didn't want the British Library record here, I could deselect that. And when I do export, it will take these particular columns, but leave the BL behind. And that is a wonderful feature. So output column headers, output empty rows. If you need that, ignore facets and filters and all that sort of things. That particular database is from the British Library. It's the comic book collections. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but basically, I think you got a sense of it with the type of data that's available in there. So that's basically a third way that you can export the data. It's a very specific way if you want. So custom export is great. All right. Now, are there any questions with regards to this data set? If there is not, then we'll move on to our next data set. This is from the Powerhouse Museum, which is the Museum of Applied Arts and Sciences in Sydney, Australia. So we're going to use this data set. Now, what I can do is I can go right up here to open, and I will get another browser. So you can have multiple open browsers and projects running. So I'm sure there's an upper limit to how much you can do that before your computer starts to slow down, but something to keep in mind. I'm going to choose files. I'm going to go to our folder and I'm going to click on Powerhouse, comma separated value. Here it is, it's loaded up, and I go next. And lo and behold, here's our data, and you can tell it's coming from museums, so it's going to be highly structured. You've got record IDs, object titles, registration numbers, very specific stuff listed here. I'm going to create the project, and it loads up. And as you can see, quite a bit of information listed here, and very highly structured. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk quickly about numbers. So I want you to go to, let me just move that here. I'm going to go to object title here. I'm going to go to facet. And I'm going to look at numeric facet. And what does it do? It gives me nothing right here on the left-hand side. Why? Because there's no numeric facet data listed in here. Oh, how nice to know. So that tells you no numbers. But wait, let us go take a look at record ID. We do facet and we do numeric facet. But wait, these are numbers over here. they not? And now we get 0. So what is happening here? It does not compute. Well, yeah, actually it does, because what you're looking at here is text data. It's not numeric data. So it's reading it as text and not numeric. So if you are using, going to use numeric data, make sure that you're doing some sort of calculation with it. If you're not, then it's probably best just to stick with the record with the text option. Now, what I would like to do is I like to make a point here, and I'm going to do number. You'll notice you have text, number, Boolean, and date. So I'm going to do number. I'm going to change that. And I'm going to apply to all identical numbers. So I'm going to click on that. And it just changed to 1. Thank you very much. That's not what I want to do. So what I have to do is go in here. I have to go to faceted. And I'm going to go to you'll notice here that I changed one of them so it says numeric, but the rest of them are non-numeric. It also gives you a blanket error if you have that listed. So what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to transform. Right, so I'm back to that. So I'm going to go to record number, I'm going to go down to transform, and I'm going to transform. I'm going to do common transformations. Where are you? There we go. All right. Let's see. I want to go to record ID. I want to do edit cells. Right here, I want to go to common transformations. And then I want to go to number. So I click on to number. It tells me 3,900 cells were changed, value to number. So you can do a GREL expression and search that way, or you can do it this way. You'll notice here, I'm going to click on that. You'll notice here that the numbers have changed to green. So if you click on one of these, it will tell you it's now a number. So that's good. So you all have numbers listed here. Let's say, so if I wanted to remove all matching rows from this, I can go to all. I can go to edit rows. And I can remove all matching rows. So here I go. And I want to undo that. So there we go. So you can do something like that where you end up getting nothing. So just be careful. All right. Now let's say I have this, but I notice these numbers, the records aren't in order. And let's say I wanted to know, I want them to be in order for whatever reason. So I scroll down under record number, and I can go to sort. And I click on sort, and this box will come up. And then I click on numbers. So it'll go from smallest first, and that's very simple. You can do all these different things, but I'm just going to leave them blank. And I'm going to press OK. And now my record numbers are all in order. So if I want to know if I'm missing a particular record, for example, that's a good way to find out what I'm missing. All right. So if I were to remove, let's see, let's go up here. If I were to edit this and take this out, and then apply. It says not a valid number. So it's forcing you to do something with that. So there you go. That's with numbers. Now, in this, I mentioned before here, you have all these particular files here. The persistent links don't work anymore. So I can work with this data. I can explore all this data, ignoring the persistent links. And I can go to export, and I can go to custom tabular listed here. And I got a list of different columns. And I can eliminate persistent link if I wanted to, and just continue on. So this is something where the possibility, if you're doing reconciling data and you know where you can go for that, you can link that up with your data set and be able to import linked the URLs in that way. And I'll demonstrate that in a bit. All right, so that's working with the Powerhouse. If there are no questions about that, I'm going to go to our third data set. Oh, there we go. And I'm going to go and get this particular data set, the Dijon prices wide data set. This is from the Social Science Research Council. It's called the Dijon data set. It's basically prices for various agricultural products covering 1568 to the year, I think 1606, or maybe a little bit later, 1621, I think. Yeah, 1630. So some really old data. So here it is. I loaded it up and I go, oh boy, look at this. I've got the commodities, wheat, best wheat, good wheat, mixed grain, rye, all this sort of stuff. And then I have the measures, the quarter ranch, the Q, the Boiseau, all that. So, and then I have all the years and then the prices listed here. So we need to organize this data set a little bit more before we can do any analysis of it. So I'm going to create a project. And there we go. And I'm going to load it up. And then I got 100 listed here. So now we're going to transpose some work. So what I'm going to do, we're going to use the transpose function. We're going to go to 1568. That's the first year. We're going to do pull down menu. We're going to go to transpose. Then we're going to transpose cells across columns into rows. So the first one listed here, transpose cells across columns into rows. And we get another pop-up box. So we're going to do this. We're going to select 1568. We're going to select last column. And now we have to be careful what we're going to do here. We're going to do, let's see, where'd we go? 2 columns here. We're going to do transpose into 1 column. We're going to call that year. And we're going to ignore the blank cells and we're going to fill down in other columns. And let's see what we get. Oh, there we go. So now what we have is much better looking here. We have the commodity, we have the measure, that's great. And now we have the year, but wait, 1167, that's not really 11.67, that's a price. And if you go through, you do eventually see years listed in here. Let me see if I can undo this just for, so if I do transpose and I do this, oh yes, of course, silly me. I select 1568, I select last column. I do 1 year, I do 1 column and I'm going to call that year. And then I'm going to prepend, very important, prepend the original column's name to each cell followed by colon before the cell's value. So if there's more than one value which you're going to bring together, then that will help you with that. So, and I do ignore and fill, and I do transpose. And there you go. So now you have commodity and measure, but the under year you have the year 1568 and then the price. And that sort of thing. So that doesn't mean we're done yet, right? We need to separate columns, separate the information here in this column into two different columns, one for year and the other one for price. So our next step is to go to year, and we're going to edit the column. And we're going to split into several columns. And this comes up. So it says, okay, what are you going to separate? And we're going to separate the colon. So that was the common feature listed there. And what we want to do, well, we want to split it into two columns, right? So let's do that and see what we get. Oh, excellent. So this tells us we have year one and year two, and they're both are not numbers. So they're using numerical number here just to let you know. So that might be useful for year two for this column here for prices, but not necessarily for year one. We'll leave these as they are. So I also want to change the column title here. So we're going to do edit column, and we're going to rename this column. And we're just going to say, call it price. And there it is. There's a data set that's now ready to be used in whatever way that you want. And you can also, since the years are sort of out of date, it looks like, because you're organizing these by commodity. So as long as you know that, that's fine. But if you wanted to do year instead, you can rename column. I'm going to get rid of year one. I can go to year, I can sort, and then it will ask you, how do you want to sort? And I said, I just want to sort by the numbers. There you go. So it does all the 1568 first, and you can get a quick section, what was being sold and for how much and that sort of thing. So there you go. That is that particular database. All right. So if there's no questions about that, our last thing is going to be reconciling data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go to open. And my last data set I'm going to choose is the Canadian Law Journals data set. It takes a few seconds to load. There it is. There it is. And I'm going to just create the project. All right, so here's your data set. We'll do 100 there. And I want to add stuff to this data set, Canadian Law Journals and that. So I want to add material list. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to title. I'm going to select reconcile. And I'm going to do start reconciling. So I'm going to bring data in from a different source. So I could use an add standard service. So if I know my services URL, I can just add it from there. I can discover services, and you can go to reconciling service test branch here. And it gives you a whole bunch of different places where you can pull information up. So you'd have to go to the website and that sort of thing. So you have a lot of stuff to bring in, a lot of different information. Really cool. So we're not going to use those. We're just going to use Wikidata. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go to next. And what it does, it imports this field here from our data set. So we got interesting things, articles, scientific journals, academic journals. We just want law reviews. Thank you very much. So I'm going to start reconciling, and it works its way up here. It's 31, 47%. Takes a little bit of time. And finally, it's done. And it tells me that they matched 51 out of this list here. So that's not too bad. All right. So let's say I've got this here. I've got my basic things, but I want to add some more. For example, I want to add the international serial standard number, the ISSN. So how would I go about that? So what I can do, I can go to title, I can go to edit column, and then I can add columns from reconciled values. So let me do that. And all of a sudden I got a different column listed here. Hey, this is great. So I can scroll down, I can look at all these different items that I can reconcile data here. So, hey, look, ISSN, that's great. Let me do that. And I click on it, and all the material gives me a preview here of what I've listed. Notice the titles, they're not complete. You do have empty records listed here. Not reconciled, this sort of thing. But it's a good place to start. So I'm going to click on OK. And it works through at the top here, and boom, we're done. And all of a sudden, we have a columns listed here. So all of a sudden, we're adding to our data set, just pulling it from reputable sources, that sort of thing. So that's one way to do it. Now, here's one last thing to show you. What if I wanted to get the dedicated URL for that particular journal's website? What can I do? Well, I can go into title again. I can reconcile. Actually, what I do is I go to edit column because I've already done that. And I can add columns from reconciled values. So let me click on that. And the same box will appear. Now, I want a website, right? So I look at these and I go and hey, wait a minute. Website or URL is not listed here. What's going on? Do not despair. You can always add a property. So I'm going to type in website. And voila, all of a sudden I have multiple sources here. So I'm just going to go with official website. And all of a sudden it lists all this. And then I'm just going to press OK. And there you go. All of a sudden I've got all these URLs, which I'm assuming will link me to somewhere. Notice it's not complete, but it does get a lot of work done for you as you move forward. So at this point, you would just want to export and probably use custom or tabular data if you wanted. And there you go, and save your work for a different time. So are there any questions about that? That is a very quick overview of OpenRefine. All right, if there are no questions, thank you for coming to the webinar, and I'll send out links to the workshop once they're uploaded to our COA Libraries YouTube website. Thank you very much for coming. Bye-bye.